Hey guys, today we're gonna do a video on the unit review for the 4 new units that we got in a certain goddess's love song gacha banners. So we're gonna look at the 4 units there. But first of all, this is the first video I've recorded since reaching 100 subscribers, which actually happened like incredibly fast. I've only been making videos for 2 months, and the fact that we're already at 100 or now even 110 subscribers is actually like insane, to be honest. So I would like to thank everyone that subscribed. I'd like to thank everyone that liked the videos. Thank you to everyone who commented and chatted with me in the comment section. And I hope you guys continue to support me and enjoy the videos as much as you can. So with that said, we're gonna move into the topic of this video, and we're gonna look at the 4 new units, which you can see here. So we're gonna look at the Bell, the Syr, the Ais, and the Eina. I have done some talks, so I know approximately how good the units are and where they're supposed to be used. But whether or not they will for certain make it, for example in the top wargame teams or anything of the sorts, we're still not really certain of, but we can make good guesses. So first of all, let's look at the Bell. So the Bell is pretty much... it's the first Bell unit with glasses, which we're not used to. It's an interesting design they decided to do, but his special attack has a minus 40% physical resist buff. He's pretty much an AoE light unit and is mostly meant for war games. He does have a single target attack with a 40% light attack damage, with a 30% increase for each light attack damage buff, but I still think that he's going to be better in wargame compared to the PvE modes, and he was pretty much just meant... I'm pretty sure the developers put this out as a counter to Otterl, because he is pretty broken at the moment still, and they wanted, I guess, to put out a unit afterwards to reduce the strength of Otterl. So he has his skill 2, which removes strength, agility, and dark attack damage buffs, so that's where the counter comes in. So Bell removes the extra strength that Otterl receives, and then I guess Otterl doesn't hit as hard. He is a good unit. He does have a... he buffs all your allies for 35% for strength and light attack damage. And might be used, but I'm not sure if he's going to be a part of the top wargame teams. For that, we'll still have to see, as people are starting to reach hero on the European server, but there's not everybody there yet, so we don't know for a fact. So the next unit we're going to look at is the new Ais. And this one is like really interesting. Oh, I forgot to look at the stats of the Bell, but as far as I remember, he has good strength and he has good agility, so the stats aren't gonna stop him from doing good, basically. So the Ais is the same. Ais has a little bit less than 2000 strength and around 2050, so 2040 agility, which is pretty standard nowadays. And she is basically a better version of the Elmina that was released for the Argonaut event, because she has, like Elmina had, the debuff that increases the damage your units do on the enemies for 30%. Ais also has it, but she also has a 30% guard debuff, so she's just straight out better in that sense. She's also a light unit, so the team composition I guess is going to be a little bit more diverse, so it can't really get countered but by dark clothes that much. If you're using, let's say, Daphne, Mikoto, and her, like some people have been using Daphne, Mikoto, and Annina, so she's definitely good. And if you don't have Annina and you are using a physical rush team, you might want to go for the Ais. and if you already have Annina, you might want to improve it or save the Iris, I guess, because Annina is also the same purpose as her, so it's just whether or not this actually helps you. Her special attack is a 40% damage received buff, but it's not really used as much, so because the physical rush damage teams want to end the battle in faster than the first essay, basically. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Her skill 2 removes the physical resist buff and damage reduction, so that's also a counter for stall parties, so she's definitely a good unit and something to look for when you're doing pulls. Okay, so the next unit we're gonna look at is the Assist Syr, and pretty much everyone that I've talked to so far really likes her artwork. I'm also a fan of long-haired Syr, so and just Syr in general, so definitely really nice there. But as far as the unit goes in the stats are the only great stat is dexterity, and the other stats are not that high. It's pretty much suboptimal, really. So she really wants to be put on a just for her assist buff on one of the sacrificial units, because you do want to utilize the strength and the magic usually of the units on the damage dealers that are going to be putting damage out, obviously. So she has a buff at MLB. She does 15% strength and magic buff, like we've seen a lot of the units, but then she does a 20% light attack damage buff, which is higher, I think, than any other element buff we saw so far. I think the usual amount is 15%, though it is sometimes split between two elements, so this is definitely a great light buff to have, and it's going to make light units in general, including the new Bell and the new Ais, much stronger. So she's definitely a good unit to go ahead and look for as well in the banner, but if you already have a 15% strength and magic buff that you are using in your party, so for example Apollo is really good because you are most likely going to pair Syr with Apollo anyways, because you do want to reduce the light resistance of the enemies as well. Since Apollo already has a 15% strength and magic buff, or at least, was it just strength? It was just strength, but there's also other stuff from magic. But she might be good enough, is what I'm saying, at only plus 60. So if you don't have a lot of Iris to spend, you definitely don't have to go for plus 5 Syr, because she's perfectly fine at just level 60, because she still provides a 15% light damage buff and a 10% strength and magic buff. So definitely try and look for one copy if you are using light teams, because she will improve them by quite a bit, but you don't really have to go for MLB, it would be my suggestion. So the last unit, the fourth one that we are going to look at, and the fourth one that is new, is the new Eina. And if we look at the stats, her strength is decently high at 85, and then her agility is pretty good as well, 416. I'm not sure if this album includes the CP levels, but my Eina isn't really leveled, so the stats might be a little bit higher as well than this. But the most important thing that we look at in assists obviously is the buff that they give you, or debuffs on the enemies, and the Eina reduces the critical and the penetration rate of the enemies by 20%, and then decreases the all target and single target damage you take from the enemies by 15%. So she's definitely meant as a damage reduction unit in a stall team, and she could end up using just one slot instead of two slots that the teams have previously been using, because previously it's been, as far as I know, one unit for crit and pen reduction, and then 1 unit for reducing the damage you take. So she is definitely a good unit to have, especially at, I think, MLB, since the difference is decently high, and probably the stats also like really matter compared to the Syr, because you do want to have her probably on one of your main units if you're using a stall party, but unless you're really going for high ranks in Wargame, you don't also really need her that much. So with that, if you're going for stall party, you might want to get her. Otherwise, I think you're okay without her as well. So just as an overall ending, I guess, the best units to go for are probably 1 copy of Syr, and then if you're using a physical rush team, as many copies of Ais as possible to replace Annina if you don't have her, and then Bell and Eina are also decent but not really that needed. So yeah, that's going to be it for this video. I'm going to be making a pull video straight after this, so you can look forward to that tomorrow. And thank you for watching the video. I'll see you guys tomorrow, actually. So yeah, bye bye.